Nia walked through the streets of Kilima, feeling the eyes of everyone on her. Her beauty was undeniable, but what made people more curious was the mystery around her. Even though everyone admired her, Nia kept her personal life hidden, protecting a secret that only a few could imagine. The sacred forest surrounding the village was her real home, a place where magic was as natural as a flowing river, touching every tree and stone. The forest was more than just a place to live, it was where her family stayed, away from the curious eyes of the villagers. Nia was the only one in her family who could stay in human form all the time, a gift that made her feel separate from both humans and her own family. Her parents and siblings, who couldn't live among humans, had warned her since she was young about the dangers of getting involved with the outside world. But Nia, always curious, felt a growing desire to connect with humans, to experience the love she saw in the eyes of couples in the village. As she walked, a gentle breeze carried the scent of wildflowers that grew on the edge of the forest. The rustling leaves seemed to whisper, reminding her of her true nature. Despite her family's warnings, Nia couldn't ignore her curiosity about the world beyond the forest. There was something about the simple life of the villagers that attracted her, a promise of something she hadn't yet experienced. That night, as she returned to the forest, Nia paused for a moment at its edge, looking at the village lit by the moonlight. She knew her family would never understand her desire to belong to two worlds. But at the same time, she felt that there was more for her than the isolated life she was living. With a sigh, she turned and disappeared into the darkness of the forest, determined to explore her possibilities. But before we dive deeper into Nia's tale, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Make sure to turn on notifications so you won't miss the next exciting chapter. Days passed, and Nia's desire to connect with humans grew stronger. During a visit to the village, her eyes met those of a young man named Django. Tall, with intense eyes and an easy smile, he was the kind of man who made the women in the village sigh. Nia, though used to getting attention, felt something different in that encounter. There was an intensity in Django's eyes that made her feel seen in a way she had never felt before. Django, on the other hand, was intrigued by Nia. He always knew there was something special about this young woman that everyone knew, but no one really understood. Her beauty was only part of the mystery around her, and he was determined to learn more. The two began talking casually, exchanging words that soon turned into shared laughter. For Nia, these conversations were like a breath of fresh air, something she didn't know she needed until she experienced it. But there was something Nia didn't see in Django's eyes. His curiosity was not just about the mystery she represented, but also about what he could gain by getting close to her. The stories about the forest and its legends were well known in Kilima, and Django, being ambitious, saw in Nia an opportunity to explore these secrets for his own benefit. As the meetings between Nia and Django became more frequent, their connection grew. Nia began to lower her defenses, feeling more and more attracted to the idea of living a normal life among humans. Meanwhile, Django was more determined than ever to discover what made Nia so special, ready to do whatever it took to achieve his goals. Thus, what started as a casual encounter quickly became something deeper. Nia, increasingly involved, felt she could finally find the love she always wanted. Little did she know that this path would lead her to a destiny that would change her life forever. As Nia and Django spent more time together, their relationship grew deeper. Nia found herself increasingly drawn to him, feeling a warmth in his presence that she had never experienced before. She started to trust him, sharing small details about her life that she had kept hidden from everyone else. Each day, Django listened carefully, encouraging her to open up more, while secretly collecting information that could lead him to the secrets of the sacred forest. Django's intentions, however, were far from pure. Although he enjoyed Nia's company and was genuinely attracted to her, his ambition overshadowed his feelings. He had heard tales of the magical powers within the forest and believed that Nia held the key to unlocking them. As he learned more about her, Django began to piece together the puzzle, realizing that Nia was not just a beautiful girl from the village, but someone with a deep connection to the magic he sought to control. Nia, unaware of Django's hidden motives, began to consider a future with him. She dreamed of a life where she could blend her magical heritage with the simple pleasures of human life. The idea of marrying Django became more appealing, despite the warnings from her family. She believed that their love could bridge the gap between the two worlds she was torn between. But as their wedding day approached, Django's true nature started to show. He became more insistent on learning about the forest, asking Nia questions that made her uneasy. Though she trusted him, a small voice inside her warned that something was not right. Yet, her desire for love and acceptance drowned out her doubts. On the night before the wedding, Nia visited the forest, seeking reassurance from the familiar magic around her. The trees seemed to whisper warnings, the wind carrying a sense of foreboding. But Nia, blinded by love, brushed off these signs. She returned to the village, unaware that her decision to marry Django would soon lead to a revelation that would shatter her world. The day of the wedding arrived, and the village buzzed with excitement. Nia, dressed in a gown that shimmered like the moonlight, was the picture of happiness. Yet as the ceremony began, a strange tension filled the air. The elders of the village, who had always been wary of outsiders, watched the proceedings with silent concern. As the night fell, the villagers gathered to celebrate the union. The music played and laughter filled the air, but Nia couldn't shake a growing sense of unease. When it came time for the traditional dance, Django, eager to prove his love, led Nia to the center of the celebration. But as they moved together, something unexpected happened. The magic that Nia had kept hidden for so long began to surface, triggered by her emotions. The air around them shimmered, and suddenly, Nia's form began to change. Her secret was revealed in front of the entire village. Her connection to the magic of the forest could no longer be concealed. The villagers gasped in shock, and fear spread quickly among them. Django, too, was stunned, not by the magic itself, but by the realization that he had underestimated the power Nia possessed. Chaos ensued as the villagers, frightened by what they did not understand, began to murmur and panic. The village elder stepped forward, demanding an explanation. In that moment, Nia felt her world crumbling. She looked at Django, hoping for support, but saw only confusion and fear in his eyes. The elder, recognizing the depth of the situation, decreed that Django, despite his intentions, must now live with the consequences of his actions. Django, caught in the web of his own making, was ordered to stay with Nia as her husband, bound to the very magic he had sought to exploit. The once joyous celebration turned into a night of uncertainty and dread, as Nia and Django were forced to confront the reality of their situation. Together they left the village, heading towards the sacred forest, where their new life, filled with unknown challenges, awaited. As Nia and Django entered the sacred forest, the atmosphere shifted. The trees, ancient and wise, seemed to watch them as they walked deeper into the woods. The once welcoming and familiar place now felt heavy with tension. Nia could feel the magic in the air, but instead of bringing her comfort, it reminded her of the rift that had opened between her and the world she once longed to join. Nia's family greeted them with mixed emotions. Her parents and siblings were relieved to have her back, but were wary of Django. They could sense the darkness in his heart, the ambition that had driven him to seek out their secrets. Despite this, they accepted him, though their eyes often lingered on him with suspicion. Life in the forest was nothing like the simple existence in the village. The magic that thrived here was powerful and unpredictable, shaping every aspect of daily life. Nia felt a constant pull between her love for Django and her duty to her family and the forest. She hoped that, in time, Django would come to understand and respect the magic that surrounded them. But Django struggled to adapt. The forest, with its ever-present magic, was a stark contrast to the human world he knew. He often felt out of place, frustrated by the strange customs and the distrustful looks from Nia's family. He tried to show interest in their way of life, but the unease between him and Nia's kin only grew. Nia, meanwhile, worked hard to bridge the gap. She spent her days teaching Django about the forest, hoping that he would come to see its beauty and importance. Yet, despite her efforts, a sense of distance began to grow between them. Django's initial fascination with Nia's magic had turned into frustration, as he realized that the life he had envisioned with her was far more complex and demanding than he had anticipated. As the days passed, the strain on their relationship became more apparent. The love that had once seemed so strong now felt fragile, tested by the realities of living in a world where magic was not just a story, but a force to be reckoned with. Nia remained hopeful, but the challenges they faced in the forest only deepened the divide between them. Amidst the growing tension, something began to change within Django. As he spent more time in the forest, he started to see past his own desires and ambitions. The forest, once just a means to an end, began to reveal its deeper mysteries to him. He saw the way Nia's family interacted with the magic around them, not as something to be controlled, but as a force to be respected and nurtured. Slowly, Django started to appreciate the beauty of the world he had entered. He began to understand the weight of the responsibilities that Nia carried, the delicate balance between the human and magical worlds. The love he had once felt for Nia, tainted by his initial greed, started to transform into something purer, more genuine. He realized that to truly be with Nia, he needed to let go of his old ways and embrace the life she led. Django's change of heart was not immediate, nor was it without struggle. He often found himself caught between his old desires and the new feelings that were growing within him. But as he spent more time with Nia and her family, he began to see the futility of his past ambitions. The magic of the forest was not something to be possessed, but something to be lived and respected. Nia noticed the change in Django, though she was cautious in her hope. She had seen too many signs of his previous intentions to fully trust this new side of him. But as Django showed more understanding and willingness to learn, her heart began to soften. She started to believe that perhaps they could find a way to build a life together, one that honored both her world and his. However, the path to redemption was not easy for Django. The forest tested him, as if sensing his internal struggle. There were moments when the old Django resurfaced, driven by fear or frustration. But each time he fought those urges, slowly learning to let go of the man he once was. As Django's understanding grew, so did his love for Nia. He began to see her not just as a means to an end, but as a partner, someone who had sacrificed much for the sake of their love. This realization brought a new depth to their relationship, one that was built on mutual respect and a shared commitment to the life they were trying to create. But even as Django's heart changed, the shadows of his past actions lingered, threatening to undo the fragile peace they had begun to build. The question remained: would Nia's family and the magic of the forest itself ever fully accept him? Or would his past sins come back to haunt them both? As the days passed, Nia and Django tried to settle into their new life, but the peace they sought was elusive. The forest, with all its ancient wisdom, seemed to sense the unresolved tensions between them and the world outside. It was as if the magic itself knew that something was coming, a challenge that would test not only their bond, but also the balance of the magical and human worlds. One night, as Nia and Django sat together in their small home deep within the forest, a strange sound echoed through the trees. It was a sound that Nia had never heard before, a low rumbling growl that seemed to shake the very ground beneath them. She stood up, her heart pounding, and looked at Django, who was already on his feet, eyes wide with fear. Before they could react, the door burst open, and one of Nia's brothers rushed in, his face pale with terror. "Something is coming," he gasped. "Something dark and powerful. We must protect the forest." Nia and Django followed him outside, where the rest of her family was already gathered. The air was thick with tension, and the trees seemed to tremble as if they too were afraid. In the distance, a shadow moved through the forest, growing larger with each passing moment. It was a creature of immense size, its eyes glowing with an unnatural light, and its body covered in thick, dark scales. Nia's mother stepped forward, her voice calm but firm. "This creature was drawn here by the imbalance between our worlds," she said. "It feeds on fear and anger, and it will destroy everything if we do not stop it." Django felt a cold chill run down his spine. He knew that this was partly his fault, that his own greed and ambition had contributed to the imbalance that had brought this creature into their midst. He looked at Nia, his heart heavy with guilt, but she met his gaze with determination. "We will face this together," she said, her voice strong, "but we must act quickly." As the creature approached, Nia and her family began to draw upon the magic of the forest, weaving spells that would protect their home. Django, despite his fear, knew he had to help. He may not have had the magical abilities of Nia's family, but he had strength and determination. He took a deep breath and stepped forward, ready to fight alongside them. The battle that followed was fierce. Django fought bravely, using every ounce of his strength to protect Nia and her family. But as the battle raged on, it became clear that the creature was too strong. Nia knew they had to do something drastic. She turned to Django, her eyes filled with resolve. "We must combine our strengths," she said. "Your courage and my magic. We can defeat this creature together." Django nodded, understanding what she meant. He took her hand, feeling the warmth of her magic flow through him. Together, they focused all their energy on the creature, channeling the power of the forest into a single, devastating blow. The ground shook, and a blinding light filled the air as their combined strength overwhelmed the creature. With a final, ear-splitting roar, the creature collapsed, its body dissolving into the earth. The forest fell silent, the threat finally vanquished. Nia and Django, exhausted but triumphant, stood together, their hands still clasped. They had won, but at a great cost. The magic they had used had drained much of their energy, and the forest itself seemed to mourn the loss of its ancient power. Yet, in that moment, Nia and Django knew that they had proven something important, not just to the forest, but to each other. In the aftermath of the battle, the forest was quiet, as if recovering from the intense energy that had been unleashed. The trees stood tall but seemed weary, their leaves gently rustling in the soft breeze. Nia and Django, still holding hands, slowly walked back to their home, their hearts heavy with the weight of what they had just experienced. Nia's family followed behind, their faces reflecting a mix of relief and exhaustion. Though they were glad the creature had been defeated, they knew that the balance of their world had been permanently altered. The magic that once flowed freely through the forest was now weaker, and it would take time for it to recover fully. Back at their home, Nia and Django sat together in silence, each lost in their thoughts. Django's mind was filled with memories of his past mistakes, and the guilt of what he had nearly cost Nia and her family. But now more than ever, he understood the true meaning of love and sacrifice. He realized that the life he had once desired was nothing compared to the life he now had with Nia, a life filled with challenges, but also deep, genuine connection. Nia, sensing his turmoil, turned to him and spoke softly. "We have been through so much, Django. And though we have faced great danger, we have also learned so much about ourselves and each other. I believe that this is a new beginning for us." Django looked into her eyes, seeing the forgiveness and love reflected there. He nodded, feeling a sense of peace that he had never known before. "I am sorry, Nia, for everything I did that brought us to this point. But I promise you, from now on, I will be the partner you deserve. I will protect this forest, our home, and our future together." Nia smiled, her heart lifting at his words. She knew that the road ahead would not be easy, but she also knew that they would face it together, stronger and more united than ever. The forest might need time to heal, but so too would their relationship, and she believed that, with time, both would grow even stronger. Over the following weeks, Nia and Django worked side by side, helping the forest recover from the battle. Nia's family, now more accepting of Django, guided him in understanding the deeper aspects of their magical world. Though the path was long and difficult, Django's dedication and love for Nia shone through in every task he undertook. The villagers, who had once feared Nia's magic, began to respect her and the sacrifices she had made to protect them. They also saw the changes in Django and recognized the strength of the bond that had been forged between him and Nia. Slowly, the distrust faded, and a new sense of harmony grew between the village and the forest. As time passed, the forest began to heal, its magic slowly returning. Nia and Django's love deepened, rooted in the trials they had overcome together. The memory of the creature's attack remained a reminder of the delicate balance between their two worlds, but it also served as a testament to the power of love and the possibility of redemption. In the end, Nia and Django found a peace they had never imagined possible. They continued to live in the forest, protecting its secrets, and ensuring that the magic within it would thrive for generations to come. Their story became a legend in Kilima, a tale of love, sacrifice, and the unbreakable bond between the human and magical worlds. And though their journey had been filled with hardships, Nia and Django knew that they had finally found their place, together, in the heart of the sacred forest, where their love could grow as strong and enduring as the ancient trees around them. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Make sure to turn on notifications so you won't miss the next exciting chapter. Thanks, and see you in the next tale.